Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. Sorry I've had a little bit of a delay, but I'll actually get the answer questions episode done today, and then later on I'll actually do the special episode, and I'll get on with that. So let's actually get with the questions, shall we? Alright, this question from John from South Sioux City, Nebraska, who asks this one. The one thing that bugs me about Giganotosaurus is that the placement of its eyes is more akin to a deer than a crocodile. So how could a hunter hunt with stereoscopic vision? Well, John, I think basically what we're actually going to be I think what you're kind of talking about is basically stereoscopic vision is actually three-dimensional vision, basically, which is basically binocular vision. So the kind of vision that Giganotosaurus would have had was basically on the sides of its head, very limited binocular vision. But even though I would actually say that if Giganotosaurus were able to see binocular vision, I would actually say that it would have to whatever it has to see has to stay still. And so basically if it doesn't stay still, then basically because then otherwise Giganotosaurus would be kind of looking from side to side, basically like that. But even though I think it all but basically with the eyes, I'd say that it's just it's how it actually tries to kill its prey. Because you see, if you're coming from the side of the prey, then basically you're more likely to actually make more of a blood loss type of wound on the prey. So if Giganotosaurus was attacking sauropods, it would make sense to actually have vision, basically eyes on the side of its head. Whereas you kind of think of Tyrannosaurus Rex, you see that its eyes are facing forward, and basically it needs to see its prey in front of you, and it's going to have a full frontal attack. So that's why the Giganotosaurus actually has very poor depth perception, whereas Tyrannosaurus Rex would actually have the binocular vision that it needed to actually to qualify as a hunter. But even though I think Giganotosaurus was a prime killer, it's just that how often it killed is still a question. We don't know how often it killed. I mean, we still don't know whether or not if it actually had that ability to actually like have a full frontal attack, because you see its teeth are not really designed to go straight to the bone, so to go right through bone, basically. But I would actually say that just basically just by comparing it to Tyrannosaurus Rex, we actually see that they have very different visual styles. So Giganotosaurus probably did have some good vision, but even though probably not as acute as Tyrannosaurus Rex. So I would actually say that since Giganotosaurus appeared before Tyrannosaurus Rex, so basically I would actually say that its kinship is basically like the Allosaurids, basically. So I'd say that that it would actually have to be the basic way for it. It has to attack the side of its prey in order to actually make a kill. So that's probably the better solution for Giganotosaurus to attack. Whereas Tyrannosaurus Rex, it needs to have a full frontal attack. But even though it can attack anywhere, so that's basically how it goes. Alright, next question is from Diego from Brazil. Sorry Diego, I forgot where you live. But anyway, he asks, I would like to know the geologic expansion about the place of the Brea Tar Pits. Why fossilize so perfect the fauna there? And if possible, contextualize more about that era or period, and if there are dinosaurs in those times. If not, who are the more near animals in the evolution to dinosaurs? Well, I'll get to your first question. The Brea Tar Pits is basically is actually dated back to the Pleistocene, so it actually would be basically a million years to 10,000 years. So that's basically the era that actually is coming from, and basically the tar pits is basically oil that actually has come up from the ground. So what this does is basically it creates like this kind of like oozy mix of soil and basically this tar like sand, and any animal that would be influenced to actually possibly get a drink there because of the reflection of possibly of water. But basically once the animal steps on there, it's basically stuck. It can't get out, and it takes a lot of strength to actually pull a limb out of that sticky tar. And why fossilize so perfectly? Well, basically it's just that that kind of depository of where all those bones actually are basically oil is actually a nice preservative to actually have to do fossilization. But with millions of years of time, that tar sand becomes rock, and basically it looks like a normal rocky bone, looks like a normal fossil bone bed to many paleontologists. And still there's more and more discoveries that actually has been found in the Brea Tar Pits. And the Brea Tar Pits is just like one of the dream places for paleontologists to actually go to, and especially possibly find a saber-toothed cat, dire wolf, possibly a mammoth, bison, maybe a giant short-faced bear, some prehistoric birds, and all those kinds of animals that are actually around there during that time. The megafauna is just amazing at that time. And there were no dinosaurs that were actually found in the Brea Tar Pits. It's because, you see, dinosaurs actually lived in the Mesozoic era, and so dinosaurs were actually around basically from 230 million years to 230 million years to 66 million years. So they basically lived near 150 million years in the Mesozoic era. Whereas the Brea Tar Pits is Cenozoic. This is after the dinosaurs. This is the Cenozoic era. So this is the era that we're in, and basically this is the age of mammals. And basically, and the animals that are near to dinosaurs and to their evolution, dinosaurs kind of came from a reptilian family called archosaurs, and basically these animals almost look like crocodilian-like ancestors, but basically they actually have compressed skulls. Basically their eyes are on the side of their heads, and they have their limbs are right underneath their body. They're not like splayed out onto the side like most reptiles. But what we actually see here is that this is a trend into becoming faster and actually being a very aggressive hunter on land. And that's why archosaurs are land crocodiles, what we actually like to call them. And also basically when dinosaurs came around, then in the Jurassic period, we actually start to see a branch out of the dinosaurs kind of actually breaking away, and that's basically birds. And birds are technically dinosaurs. So birds are actually theropod dinosaurs, and that's because theropod dinosaurs are closely related to birds. And so, what dinosaurs and birds actually, what theropods and birds actually share is a lot of key features. Three-toed feet, but even though they have a fourth toe on the back, they actually have small limbs, small forelimbs, basically smaller arms, to basically kind of reduce the body weight. But even though in birds the wing is actually a very powerful mechanism, but also theropods and birds also have hollow bones. And you see, hollow bones is basically to make you light in weight, and also it actually helps to actually become faster, and also you can actually breathe air a lot easier. And birds actually have air sacs for lungs, and I think theropods would actually have that same thing. Is basically they would breathe pretty much breathe frequently better than we do. It's because you see, because mammals have a diaphragm, and basically we actually take a kind of breath, and that's because we have a muscle that actually enables to actually breathe, and so we actually breathe in a very limited amount of oxygen and all that kind of stuff. Whereas birds actually, they keep oxygen, they breathe in oxygen and they keep it in their lungs, and then they basically exhale it, and they kind of almost exhale it out the same way. But even though that's a really good mechanism, it's because you see it goes through many different kind of air sacs, and even some of these air sacs actually enter in the vertebrae. So basically, theropod dinosaurs share a lot of features with birds, and so that's why dinosaurs are closely related to birds. But even though crocodilians are they're basically kind of like a predecessor type of ancestor, and kind of predecessor type of relative. So because crocodilians are kind of primitive, whereas birds are a little bit more advanced. But even though dinosaurs are in between that kind of area, and they're basically in that kind of reptilian lineage. But even though they're kind of becoming more their own thing, and that's basically how they're actually kind of going with this. And all right, and that's it for the Answer Questions episode. And I'll actually get started with the special episode basically after this taping, and so I'll actually upload both episodes today as soon as I can. And also next week will actually be an Answering Questions episodes. This coming Saturday, basically January 31st, will be a new Answering Questions episode. So if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or otherwise you can go on Facebook, follow the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. You can post the questions in the comment section on any Facebook post that I post on there. And and also you can follow me on Twitter, @ CSGRALL low caps, and that's my Twitter page. And I actually do post some pretty cool stuff there. And also take care of the people around you. And also for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education. With a good education, get a good job in the future. Sorry if I sound a little almost sound like I'm a little groggy. It's because I'm kind of dealing with the cold here, so I may sound a little bit awful in these videos. But I'll actually get to the Answer Question, the special episode right now.